So you hear everyone saying, oh, you need more creative volume to scale on Meta. But is this actually what you need? And we're going to talk about today the difference between the creative volume and the diversity, obviously post Andromeda, and how these two are also both important, but we're going to see some nuances here in terms of like, where do you need more diversity, where do you need more volume, and how you can obviously structure your creative plan so you can actually scale on Meta confidently over the next few weeks if you follow this video. And this is obviously my experience based on spending more than 4 million per month across multiple brands, and I'm overseeing a lot more ad spend across my students and across consulting even more. Now, we're going to cover a few things here. First of all, I'm going to go into the drawing board before going into the testing pyramid, so you can see. So we have a brand here, obviously starts testing on Meta. This is, let's say, spent. This is time. And then obviously it starts very, very low again. Then they kind of find something to work, and then it shoots up, and then it just hits a plateau, and then they try to get even more volume. Maybe they just try to find a couple of different angles. Maybe it just goes up here, but then it just goes out again, and they're gonna reach a plateau here. Now that's obviously fictional here. I can't give you specific numbers. Usually, when brands try to scale from 50K per month, again, this will be dependent on your total addressable market, your niche. Don't think there's going to be a rule. But when brands want to go from 100 to 6 figures a month, here, and obviously then beyond that, so like then 6 figures to 500K a month, and then beyond to $1 million per month. Let's say, there's going to be some different levels of that. Now, one of the most common issues is obviously people don't know how to actually produce high converting creative. They don't even know how they're going to structure it, and they don't even know how to structure it on a funnel, based on the different awareness stages that the customers are in. And if you don't have an idea of what I'm talking about, click the link below. I have a free course that you can obviously go through a full creative deep dive in terms of like what exactly I'm talking about. But basically, I'm talking about the 5 awareness stages from Eugene's words. Super important, especially like unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and the most aware. Now, as we go up to that kind of to that pyramid, let's say, we're obviously gonna start scaling a lot harder. Now, what happens is obviously you hear plateau, like say, I kind of 50K, and you hear obviously people, let's say, drive more volume. Let's drive more volume. That's what you need. But if you drive more volume of the same thing, is not gonna get you anywhere. Just gonna have a lot of operational drag, potentially cost you thousands and thousands of dollars, obviously, on creating more stuff, and have a little to maybe some impact, again, depending on the stage that you're in. But if you like double down on the same thing, if you have, for example, you have, let's say, a kind of selfie speaking kind of video, and you have 100 variations of the same kind of thing, just phrasing it differently, I don't think it's going to have a meaningful impact to that, because things have changed now. Meta is really pushing diversity. And by diversity, there's also a bit of a buzzword that was important 6 years ago. I mean, even like more than that, again, you need to have more diverse creative to start reaching different people, different demographics, different ethnicities, even if you want to go that route. But you need to have that diversity so you can start getting into larger pools of people, right? So how should you think about your volume and testing? Now, if you, for example, you find one winning ad or one winning concept, let's say, not ad, maybe obviously you have a couple of ads that are actually driving this concept down, right? So what you're gonna do is like, obviously you're gonna hire that concept, this is working, okay? You may be testing like concept 1, concept 2, 3, and this is actually picking up the best. Then you're gonna obviously double down. You're gonna put like 70%, let's say, of your creative. Then, and this is obviously if you're starting off very early, into this concept. Let's actually double down on that. How you can double down, this is exactly where I'm going to go now, is your testing pyramid. You need to diversify the hell out of this out of this concept, to be honest. And this is how you diversify, and we're going to talk about some very fundamental stuff in terms of like how meta works nowadays. Now, what happens now with Andromeda is basically, if you create the same or very similar ad, even if like a very visually similar ad, Meta will pick it up and put it under the same entity ID. What that means is basically the entity ID, think about it like your ID. Essentially, it just attributes that ad into a similar ad that has run before inside the account, and it just seems to Meta that it's the same ad. So it has some context on like, why it's working and how much it has worked, and it's gonna put it into the same audience. So you can get existing kind of customers, and you're gonna get obviously some of the low-hanging fruit there, but it's not gonna scale. It's not gonna get you into that net new reach that you want. Obviously, Meta wants to make you money, but they also like to over attribute, which obviously helps with that. Others a different conversation. But here, what does it kind of forces us to think a bit more creatively and think about how we can recreate this winning concept about using different formats, using different ways that we can reskin this message, and maybe how we can expand into new concepts as well from that. And there's literally thousands of variations of this, to be honest. So there's no limit, honestly, to how much you can iterate, and you can add, let's say, diversity into the account. So obviously, to stop grouping things, to stop getting Meta to group things into the same ID, you can do a few things here. You can, again, start being more creative. The more different is going to be the format here. So we're going to start with the larger thing here. It's going to be the format. So the format is going to be potentially, let's say you have a winning static. Can we turn this into a video? Completely different audience because no one is going to be the same. That's going to just interact with your static and with your video at the same time. Now, so one easy thing to do is how we can obviously see your current spend breakdown, see how similar you have been in terms of like your videos or your statics, and maybe you have some areas that you haven't just connected. Maybe you have like a winning hook that you can obviously isolate into a static. Maybe you have a static that is very top of funnel, is getting spent, but you haven't really created this into a very solid video. This is low hanging fruit that you can actually take. Now, vehicle hook, very important as well. This is how you distribute the ad essentially. So if it is like a video, think about it like, for example, this can be a podcast style, or it can be a simple UGC video. And just to put this into more actionable terms, let's say that you have one angle that is winning. You have a creatine product, and the education, and like maybe the education, the convenience angle actually works. So it is on a sachet format. People can actually take it. It's very, very easy for them to take it away and put them into the bag when they work out or whatever. Now, you can do this with a podcast style. Maybe you have the founder and an actor speaking and just, going through exactly this concept. Or you can have this on a UGC, someone just sharing the personal point of view. Or you can have a more high production video, or like a branding video. Or you can have a more educational VSL video. Things like that. Again, very, very massive different, and you're gonna see how off the top of my head, I can create like 50 new ads, completely different, but still on that winning concept. And then we're gonna go into persona and angle, which is also very, very important here. This is where it gets a bit more interesting, but you can see as we move into this, is obviously less different and less incremental reach that is gonna be delivering here. So the persona is obviously going to be who we're speaking to. So for example, there's a specific persona. So for example, let's go back to the previous example about the convenience angle. Maybe we're speaking to someone who is a busy professional, but actually works out and whatever that is. But then we can go into we could go on a different persona. So potentially we can have the same concept but speak on like a dad that's obviously again busy, but he wants to again just a completely different persona, or maybe want to talk about a female, or maybe want to talk about, I don't know, maybe just someone who maybe just is more like a gym goer or something like that, maybe more like a gym bro. Again, different ways that we're going to call out different people. Again, it's going to provide completely different outcomes for us, right? The same with the angle here. Again, the angle is like what I said before slightly. The angle is very similar. It's like how we communicate this. Maybe we can repackage it. Maybe we can obviously communicate a bit differently. Again, it's going to have an impact for sure, as people will resonate with different things, but not the same as like switching this to a completely different format, for example. And then we have product and messaging here, which is some of the stuff that we just talked about. Again, we've seen like obviously having the same, by product I mean having the same, like say static, but just changing the products. Again, it's not really diverse enough for Meta to kind of classify it as a different aid in the ID. So we need to think through this lens here in terms of like how we producing more diversity here. And let's put this into a more practical example, right? High prod. Or it can be even, a 15-second video versus a 45-second video. Something a bit more, sometimes I don't see a lot of people do, emotional hook versus, logical hook. Maybe this is start, maybe this is more, emotional hook. And again, as I mentioned, it can also be, let's say, difference across all awareness stages, across maybe we don't have all the different awareness stages on one specific concept, right? So again, you can see you can really create like thousands of like variations with that. What we don't want to do here is something like hook variations. Carousel, the static, same image, of course. You can do a lot of stuff with that. Or things like that here. So what we're taking from this is obviously we have some of the things here, and we're going to go into the testing hierarchy here. So again, this is obviously on all to create incremental net new reach and obviously attract new customers here. This is obviously testing a specific persona or angle, uncover winning messaging through net new variations only. So if you're testing a new specific persona, you can uncover winning ads only through net new variations, no iterations like you used to do before. If you find a winner to iterate on, don't do very specific hook variations. You can iterate on format, vehicle, like we said, different kind of way that we show that winner, or hook. By hook here is very important because I've mentioned let's not do hook variations. Let's, as much as possible, do diverse hook variations. Again, it's gonna not get us the most incremental reach again, but it's gonna get us some better efficiencies. Maybe we want to test a few other stuff here to iterate. And if we really want to unlock net new audiences, we're going to change the format, the vehicle, or the hook, and the persona angle. A completely different kind of story, right? And we want to obviously make as big of a visual change as possible in the existing ad. We want to test the same visual against multiple messaging variants. So completely different way. So it's very important that we don't just blindly follow more creative volume is the key. Now is more strategic volume is the key. How we can add more diverse creative into the account and different creative into the account, not just more volume. More volume we're gonna get us is gonna be producing the same result to us. So hope you really found this video helpful. Again, if you want more specific breakthroughs on creative, go into the first link below. You're gonna have a free course, completely free, absolutely. And obviously, if you want one-to-one to work with me, I'm more than happy to do a customized audit for you, absolutely for free. If you click also the link below in the description. Thanks all for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.